755 Alliance is a nonprofit organization of concerned citizens coming together to provide a safe, thriving, and attractive environment to create jobs and attract businesses. Join us in the next 30 minutes as we hear about all the wonderful fundraising events they have and how they help members of our community that are in need. I'm Christy Breslin, and this is Harford MagaScene. I'm now joined with my friend Bong Tong Miller, and she is someone I haven't seen in years, and in those years, since we are now being reconnected, she has formed 755 Alliance. Such passion, such drive, and it really brings the community of Edgewood together. She's here to tell us all about it. Thanks for being here. Now tell me, what is 755 Alliance?
755 Alliance was formed in 2019, and the idea came from actually a county person that recommended a nonprofit be the voice of local citizens advocating for services, because Edgewood is an unincorporated town. And so when we were complaining about this and we wanted that, the county said, we can't just respond to 25,000 residences. So a group has to step up to be that unified voice. And so we did. And the idea came from just a name other than Edgewood. So we said, well, we're anchored right here in 755 Edgewood Road. So that was the key. And then since it's a state highway, the logo came from the state flag. And then the Alliance is just playing with words. It's a group of people coming together. So we wanted a cool, catchy 755 Alliance.
I love it. Now, let's go back to unincorporated town. What does that mean?
It means we don't have a government, a local government to provide services. So our biggest things that we were dealing with were the schedule of the bus transit, the illegal bulk trash dumping, and just some needs in the community. So in order to get that, you know, other places you have the mayor to handle this or that, and you have an office that you can go and file a request to have them provide the cleanups and stuff. Well, we didn't have an avenue for that. So to tackle the bulk trash, unless you're coming up with the money on your own, then we needed support from the county. And so they said, no, we just can't give it to a community, a citizen. Then every citizen will want the same thing. So a group could put in for it, and that's why we formed.
And how big is the Alliance? It seems like it just keeps getting bigger.
It started with just 4 members of the board. We're now up to 7 members, and we all have roots in Edgewood in some way or other. Like this April will be 50 years for me living in Edgewood. My whole family graduated from Edgewood. The board members have either graduated from Edgewood, still live in Edgewood, or married to a spouse in Edgewood and had businesses in Edgewood. So we all have some tie long-term to Edgewood.
Now, I know that you mentioned that there is a lot happening with 755, a lot of projects going on. Can you talk about some of them?
We have several projects, and so the biggest one that we received a grant from the state to build a skate park right on Cedar Drive across from the new Copperplex sports field. And so that's going to transform an old dilapidated tennis court into a nice skate park. And then we're going to connect the skate park to the existing Boys and Girls Club with a walking fitness trail. So we have some pieces of equipment that's fixed and some mulch, and it's going to be really nice there. So that's one. We have an urban tree project, urban tree planting project that we won a grant from the Chesapeake Bay Trust Foundation. So we're going to put 74 native Maryland species plant in public spaces, churches, and school grounds. And then we also have from the American Heart Association a grant to build community gardens. So it's going to have public access, and our first one we soon will break ground, and that's at the American Legion Post 17. and it's going to be nice. It's going to be named for some special people that I'm not going to reveal at this session. And then our second garden will be at Presbyterian United Methodist Church. So it's to increase access to healthy nutrition.
Well, there's so many great things happening. So how does the public find out about all the projects and events?
Right now, because we're a small but mighty group, we advertise everything on social media. Some past events we'll post onto our website. So we're at 755 Alliance on Facebook, and our website is 755alliance.org. And those are the two avenues. And then we do direct emailing to our people that have emailed us and said, we'd like to be on your notification list and stuff like that. So we have a lot of volunteers when we have events and projects.
Thank you so much, and thank you for everything that you do for Edgewood and really for the whole community, and great to see you again.
I'm glad to do it.
Now, that's just the beginning of our show. Coming up next, we're going to speak to the Vice President to find out more about the projects and all the good work that 755 Alliance is doing. Ron Filling is the Vice President of 755 Alliance, and he loves to be out in the community and he loves to give back. So he's going to tell us all about their efforts here and what they're doing to make Edgewood and the surrounding areas a better place. Hi, Ron.
Hi, Christy. How are you?
Great. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Now, Ron, you've been involved with 755 for a while. Tell us about how it first began and why you continue to stay involved.
Well, it's funny. I met Bontom Miller around 2019 doing community cleanup works. I was working at the time, and I would bring my employees over and we would help in various cleanup activities throughout the community. And she approached me with some issues that were going on in the community and the group she was starting, the 755 Alliance. I found out what it was she was all about, and I locked on to one thing. It was called school lunch debt. I had never heard of it before. And I found out that there were a lot of students going to school that had debt from eating lunch. And when they were graduating, they weren't allowed to do various functions in there because they had debt to the school. And she took it upon herself, along with some faith-based groups and some businesses, and raised $50,000 to eliminate the school lunch debt.
Wow.
And to the point where last year we only had one school approach us with that, and this year no schools. And she spearheaded a project that had parents signed up for reduced lunches or free lunches now. So now we've virtually eliminated that problem. We have expanded into a lot more since then. We've become a group that can apply for block grants now. So we get a lot of activity there applying for grants for various activities. And the last thing we just did was a music festival. We held it at Flying Point Park. It was called Music at the Point. It's a two-part music festival. We had 3 bands. We had the Edgewood High School Marching Band come in, and it's free to the community. So everyone's invited, just bring a chair. And the second one is going to be at Mariner Point in Joppatown, and that'll be in May, and it'll be the same thing. We invite the community in, they bring their lawn chairs, and they get a whole day of music festival. Food trucks, games, everything's involved. It's really a great time we have.
That is fantastic. And all these events, the money that's raised, does it go towards stuff like school debt?
School lunch debt, if there is any, or it goes into our emergency fund. And our emergency fund is used when someone in the community might be calling on hard times. They might be getting an eviction notice. We might pay their monthly rent. Their car might have broke down and they can't get to work. We may pay for their car repair. And these are the things. They may have gotten a notice that water's being turned off. We'll go in and pay their water bill to get them started. And when we do, we interview them and make sure they have a game plan on how they're going to continue doing, being able and being responsible. So it's really great what we do. We have a food pantry that's never full. We have a little portable library that we put books in and they rotate in and out all the time. So there's a lot of activities in there. We have many things coming up with our block grant program, and The skate park is going to be one. We're putting a skate park down by the Boys and Girls Club, a walking trail down there. And one of my favorites, which I'm sure Dave will talk about later, is the community gardens, where we'll be able to put all these vegetables out there and make them free to the community. It's really just a great opportunity that we have in front of us.
Now, Ron, at this point, are you volunteering your own time completely? Is there anybody paid on staff?
Yeah, all of our board members are volunteered. And that's really the part of giving back. You know, I may have told you I was worked in the Edgewood community for most of my career. I was in the automotive business for 42 years. And that community was really good to me and the business that I managed. And now it's time for me to give back to that community, because that's really what it's all about. I've been very fortunate, and I'm involved with other things, Extreme Family Outreach. I work with their youth leadership group. And for 15 years, I've helped coordinate the Harford County Sheriff's Office Christmas Drive that we just held on December 14th. And as strange as it may be, I'm also the president of the Aberdeen Chamber of Commerce, so I'm pretty busy volunteering all the time.
Well, Ron, with all these things that you do, I know you genuinely love it. What stands out in your mind the most? What do you enjoy the most?
Believe it or not, I enjoy this volunteering because it gives you a self-worth. But I enjoy the time away. I like going on vacation because I can. I retired 2 years ago, so now we have the opportunity to travel. I have a nice-sized family. I have 4 children, 15 grandchildren, and 5 great-grandchildren.
Wow!
So we have a good time with the kids, and my wife, we've been married over 40 years, and we like to travel now in our spare time, which is really not a lot of spare time. But the volunteer work is just the most rewarding things when you see smiles on people's faces, especially in the communities that were good to me while I was working.
Right.
So that's my game plan. I'm going to volunteer for the rest of my life.
Oh, I wish there was more people like you. Yeah, it will be. It absolutely will be. Now, Ron, anybody that maybe could use your services, maybe they need help with their electric bill or, you know, some type of emergency. How do they get in touch?
Well, they could go on our website, 755alliance.org. That would be the best place to get us. And then we list all of our officers on there so they can contact us from the website. But that would be the best part, too. The other part is if you'd want to donate to 755, you would go to the same website, and we have a QR code on there that allows you to donate to us. And we've been fortunate with some of the events we've had on. Music on the Point had 7 sponsors, local businesses sponsored us for that. So, and it's all tax deductible. So it's a good thing. You're doing something good for the community and allows us to continue to doing the work that we're doing.
Ron, thank you again. It's always great to see you out and about in the community.
Thanks, Christy.
Well, 755 Alliance continues to grow. What do they have planned for the future, and how can we get involved in some of these projects? That's coming up. 755 Alliance is made up of a group of really motivated, dedicated people, and Dave Moyer, our secretary, is one of them. He's here to tell us about his involvement. Hi, Dave.
Hi, Christy. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for being here. Now, Dave, tell me about your involvement with 755. I know that you're the secretary with them, and that from what you've told me, you really enjoy being a part of this wonderful organization.
Well, I started out several years ago as an advisory role because I was still working. And I talked to Bang Tom about working with her at the 755 Alliance when she started it, but I told her I couldn't give her a lot of my time until I retired, which I did do this past year. So now she's got me full-time. But I've been working with them on all their projects. Anything they need me to do, I try to make time to do it and work with them. She's, as I said, she's an amazing woman. She is an Energizer bunny that just keeps on going.
Well, she's got a great staff, no doubt about that. Now, she did talk about some of the projects that you're currently working on. Which ones are you involved in?
I'm involved in the tree planting project, the urban tree planting project, where we're doing 74 trees in the Edgewood area. And also I am involved in the community garden project, where we're setting up 2 community gardens in the Edgewood area. One is going to be at the American Legion in Edgewood down on 755. And the other one is probably going to be off of Presbyterian United Methodist Church's back field that they've got open back there.
What volunteer opportunities are there?
We are always looking for volunteers, but the gardens are just starting. We're hoping to break ground within 2 weeks on the one down at the American Legion. And then in the spring, we'll be breaking ground on the one at Presbyterian.
Well, you have been with them for a while now. Now, of all the organizations out there, why do you continue to serve for this one?
Well, I know Bangtan personally. Everybody used to know her. She actually lives right next door to my church. And everybody knew her as Mrs. Miller because she was the principal at Edgewood Elementary School. And we have pit beats at her church all the time. And she's been coming, I can't even guess how many years. So we've known her for a very, very, very long time. And she talked to me about it. I'm a graduate of Edgewood High School. I lived in Edgewood for 25 years of my life and still consider it home. Everybody says I live at my church, and I am there quite often, and that's right there in Edgewood, right on Route 755.
So obviously you're the perfect person to ask. How has the Alliance grown over the years?
It was a few people that got together in the beginning, and it has grown where I think our name has gotten out there and people trust our name now, knowing that we're good stewards with funding that comes in, grants that come in, and the progress that we're making, all the projects that we've done, we take them to fruition and get them done. I think that is a key part of it. And we've grown so much that we are looking for volunteers because we've got so many projects that are going on in 2025. We've got the revitalization of a skateboard park. We've got the urban gardens. We've got the tree planting. And we've also got several other things in the works. And it's a really good time for the Alliance.
Now, what would you say are your main goals moving into 2025?
Well, our goal to start with was to revitalize Edgewood. I graduated from Edgewood in 1980, and Edgewood has gained not a great reputation over the decades since that. And our plan is to get Edgewood back to where people don't frown when they hear the name. Edgewood is still a great community. As I said, I'm in the Edgewood community all the time, and it's got a lot to offer people, and we're doing a lot of things to make Edgewood better.
From your vantage point, why is this essential to our community?
Because of what we're doing in the community and for the community. I know Ron probably talked to you, and Bangtan probably talked to you about the music festival we just did and put on for free for the Edgewood community, and we're going to be doing one for the Joppatown community too. And we had a lot of people involved in that, and that's what we're doing. We're reaching out with the neighborhood cleanups that Bangtan has started. We've got them now to where the communities are actually reaching out to the county and saying, hey, we're ready for a cleanup day. They're not looking to us. So we've actually guided them into doing some of the work themselves and being a part of the community and making their community a better place.
Thank you so much again for everything that you do. And wow, you have quite a history out there in Edgewood. I'm excited to see what you'll do in 2025.
That is no problem. And again, thank you for having us and bringing the Alliance out into the public.
Oh, absolutely. And we've heard about some of the amazing fundraisers that they have. We're going to dive more into the fundraising efforts and where those funds actually go coming up. It's not an easy job, but somebody has to do it. So our treasurer is here, Steve Sines. He's here to tell us about all the funds that they raised and what that money is actually used for. Steve, thanks so much for being with us.
Nice to be here. Thank you.
Now, Steve, tell us about your role as a treasurer. I know that's a tough job.
It's a little time consuming. I'm the custodian of the funds, so I monitor the deposits and the grants we receive and donations, and at the same time when we're involved in the community, I'm cutting checks for very worthwhile projects and helping members of the community.
Obviously, we can't do it alone. We need the help of the community and the community partners. So can you talk about some of the people that are helping with the mission?
Yeah, a lot of the community partners, and that's where when people are in need, these needs are funneled to us through these organizations like Community Action Network, a number of churches in the organization. There's also a group of Edgewood High School alumni that we founded, Rams for Others, probably around 2017, and folks donate to them, needs come through these organizations, and then we try to help where we can.
Well, let me ask you this. When the funds come in, how do you decide where they go?
We use the funds on community projects. We've received a grant. We're going to be revamping a skateboard park in Edgewood. And then we have needs of the community. We have people who need their car repaired, a necessary car repair so they can get back and forth to work. We stop evictions for families. We get utilities and water turned back on. And it's really at the ground level where we're helping these people in need, and people who have exhibited that they can help themselves, but they're down on their luck, and we want to get them back on track and help them as we can.
Now, I want to go back to the question about people that need help. How do they start the process on this?
All of the requests for assistance come through the community partners, the churches, the Community Action Network, Rams for Others, etc. Once they come to us, then we determine whether or not we're in a position to help or they meet our specific guidelines.
Now, Steve, aside from handling the money, which of course we know is a very difficult job, you're also out there in the community too. So tell us about that.
Well, we all volunteer in the organization. As the treasurer, I'm also a board member. I try to help on community events, whether it's cleaning up a park, we just had a music festival, etc.
Now, what if somebody wants to get involved with some of the fundraisers, or if they just want to maybe volunteer or donate?
People that want to help, they can go to our website, they can get in contact with us through the 755 Alliance website, and we will get you involved, I promise.
And what would you say is some of the best memories that you have about being out in the community? What's your favorite part?
I like helping people. People are down on their luck, they need help, they need a little boost, and I think we're really making a difference. And one example, it was during the summer, it was very hot, it was a drought, the temperatures are high, and we had an elderly lady whose water got turned off. And we found out about it, and we hand-delivered the check here to the county and made sure that her water got turned on that day, because it was really, could be life or death. And that's one of many, many examples where we've helped out a member of the community.
Steve, thank you so much. Like I said, that's a tough job, treasurer of all the funds, and thank you for giving us all the information so we know where the money that we donate is actually going towards. So thank you so much for everything that you do.
I appreciate your time, and I appreciate you giving us the opportunity to tell our story.
Absolutely. And coming up next, Rob Wagner joins us to tell us about his involvement and what he hopes for in 2025. It's always good to be with my good friend Robert Wagner. He is an advocate for the community. He's with the Southern Task Force, and he's here to tell us more about the partnership between them and 755. Hi, Rob.
Good to see you today.
Good to see you as always. Rob, what exactly is the Southern County Task Force for people that don't know, such as myself?
Bob Castley, when he came into office, knew that there was a need in the Route 40 corridor area. We've got the majority of our rental housings are in that area. It's been neglected somewhat over the years. It seems like over the last 30 years, every county executive has had an initiative to try to do something to help raise up the lifestyles in those communities and give them different resources than what they may have available. And they've all sort of fell apart in the past, but Bob has put together something that I don't think any other county executive has done that really has a deep-rooted means of involving all the departments in Harford County to be able to access and provide services to that community or those communities, basically. We're doing more street sweeping, we're doing more community cleanups, you name it, any department that's in need of doing something in and up and down the Route 40 corridor, they're available to help out.
Now, talk to me a little bit about the partnership specifically with 755.
755 has been a great partnership for us. There's a lot of community development block grant monies that are out there, and here's the problem that we've experienced in that Harford County government can do it on Harford County property. When you get into HOA properties and private ownership properties, that's hands off for county government. So 755 has the ability to be basically a pass-through for the funding availability that they can initiate doing those projects on privately owned or HOA property.
I know that there's a lot happening and there's some challenges out there. So what are some of the biggest challenges you would say you're facing right now?
The biggest challenge, and I've talked about it in different groups, I talked about it last night in one of the community advisory board meetings. Parks and Rec is another important part of this, and we're trying to get the youth involved in Parks and Rec programs. Capture the youth at an earlier age and give them something to do and some other things that they can focus on. You might keep them in a path that stays out of trouble. So we can offer these programs, but if you're asking for stumbling blocks, we need the participation. The parents have to get behind the program and say, yes, I'll be glad for my child to participate in this program, and maybe even bring them, because we can't provide all the transportation either, but we will be doing some other programs, and we have expanded them already, and we're seeing some growth in some of the athletics that we're doing through Parks and Rec, but we need involvement and buy-in from the community.
Now, what would you directly say to a parent or a student to really encourage them to get out there and get involved?
Well, in I hate to say the word troubled neighborhoods, but in neighborhoods that have some problems, if you will, or with some communities that have some problems, if you keep doing the same old thing, you're going to keep getting the same old results. So we need to break some cycles that have been in place for a number of years. And we're trying to do that from our side, but here we are again, we're back to, I need you to step up and participate with us, and we will help you get through this. I mean, we're providing the resources. All you got to do is buy in.
Now, again, we're talking about moving forward and these hefty goals for 2025.
They are, and we've already seen some goals realized. The easiest one to show you or tell you about is, I know you've heard from others about the trash cleanups down there that we've done in some of the communities. They will continue, and we're a phone call away when it comes to someone in the community wanting their community cleaned up, and they will participate. The earlier ones that we started with, because this program's been going on now for about a year and a half or so, the earlier ones didn't get much community buy-in. And so the last one that we did down in the Edgewood area, we got a lot of buy-in. You saw participation from the people that live in the communities. And that's, you see it spiral in a positive direction. So, want to see that. And I think I drive through there multiple times during the week, and I can see a change in some of the neighborhoods and some of the communities, and that, once you clean things up and get it to a place, I think neighbors are talking to each other, and they're trying to nudge it along while we're trying to nudge it along as well. So I think visible change is what we're all looking for, and some positive outcomes in some of the people's lives, and especially in the youth.
Rob, always a pleasure. Don't know how you keep up with the schedule that you do, but everything that you do is appreciated.
Thank you so much.
As you've seen today, 755 Alliance is made up of a group of wonderful people in our community that truly care about Edgewood and make sure it's a wonderful place to live, work, and play. If you'd like to help them with their efforts, you can always get in touch with them from the website listed on their screen, and volunteers are always needed. I'm Christy Breslin. See you next month on Harford MagaScene.